All right, happy Monday. Another day, another winter storm, it seems. And if there is any message emerging from the snow, it's to not travel in the Sierra if you don't have to. The area is under a rare blizzard warning, something that we haven't seen in 2 years. And the powers that be are calling travel conditions nearly impossible. Luke Cleary is live along I-80, which is shut down in both directions. Good evening, Luke.
Hey Alex, yeah, I'm standing here at the Applegate exit of I-80, which is pretty much end of the line for anyone hoping to make their way up into the mountains. And as you can see here right now, it's pretty clear, relatively clear after several waves of heavy snowfall throughout the day. And on our way up here, we saw a number of big rigs lining the roads, just waiting to get through. We also saw Caltrans and CHP officials sort of manning this exit here, as a lot of people were trying to get through in their passenger vehicles as well. A number of them waiting along the side of the road, hoping to eventually get up the mountains, and most are just being told to simply turn around. Those who actually live in this area, up to about the Colfax area, are able to get through just to get home if they show an ID proving that they live in the area. We saw a couple of young guys struggling with their chains just to get up the road to Weimar.
This is my first time with these types, so I guess make sure you know how to use them. This is still a bit extreme. I've only seen it this bad once, and yeah, the same thing.
And as you bring it back out to us live here, yeah, we had a conversation with those guys, a couple of 18-year-olds studying to be EMTs. They just drove down the hill, I think to Auburn for their class, and then were trying to make their way back home. We also spoke with couples hoping to go to the ski resorts on the other side of the mountain. Family hoping to get their grandson up to Truckee just to experience the snow. But in our conversations with this Caltrans official over here, he said that he was really just trying to urge people to make their way back down the hill to safety. He said that he actually succeeded in encouraging a few people to go down to Auburn, where they could have a hot meal and sort of wait it out. After all, Alex, it's gonna be a while.
Yep, that's right. All right, thank you, Luke. And it's not just I-80 getting hit with the snow enclosures. This is how things are looking along Highway 50. Right now, eastbound lanes are closed at Pollock Pines and westbound lanes are closed at Myers due to avalanche control and cars spinning out. But the snow doesn't seem to be bothering too many people. Out in Amador County, Cody, there you can see wearing shorts in the snow. Caltrans has been out plowing the roads to keep Highway 88 open. And kids in the area had the day off for a good old-fashioned snow day. And Monica, as a kid from Ohio, I'm going to be honest, I love the snow days.
Yeah, then until you have to start making them up at the end of the year, right? All right, snow still falling through parts of the Sierra. Dangerous travel continues through tonight. I know we're seeing some pockets of some dry weather moving through the valley, but we're not done yet. We have a big storm that's still brewing off the coast, just sending in waves of moisture here. So the 80-50 corridor, occasionally we'll see that snow kind of back off and then is right back at it. Same south of Highway 50 along 88, 89. Highway 4, 120, you name it, every Sierra road is impacted under this blizzard warning that stays in effect until Wednesday morning. 3 to 6 feet of additional snow coming our way. We already mentioned it along Highway 50, the avalanche controls that are in effect. We've got an avalanche warning for much of the Sierra through Wednesday morning as well. Gale force winds, high intensity snowfall making large avalanches possible. Winter storm warning continues through 4 a.m. and that will be for the lower elevations. And as we head towards the coast, the coastal range getting in on the action too, with our winter weather advisory in play through tomorrow afternoon. A wintry mix down to about 2,000 feet. Tonight, our lows dropping into the 30s. We see the rain right back at it with a chance of thunderstorms developing in the forecast as some instability starts to move our way once again, with the extreme impacts pretty much confined to the Sierra. But again, for the valley, we'll see that risk of thunderstorms for our Tuesday forecast. So with some of the highlights here, rain heavy on and off for tomorrow. Snow, highest impacts will be above 2,000 feet, and the gusty winds, they're back for tomorrow's forecast as well. So we're going to be breaking all of this down and laying out the rest of the week as well, because we've got multiple systems in the pipeline. Alex, we're not done yet with the storms that are headed our way.
All right, thanks, Monica. And you can stay in the loop with the latest info on weather, travel conditions, and breaking news. All you got to do is just download our free ABC 10 app. You can also send us your pictures and videos. You might just see them on air. All right, aside from the snow, here are some other stories that people are talking about today. Several animals and their babies have died in a fire. The sales barn at Dutch Hollow Farms in Modesto burned down last night. The owners say Zazu, the goat, and her 4 babies died in that fire, along with 2 does and their babies. No humans were hurt. PG&E is appealing a decision that is putting them on trial for 11 criminal charges, including felony reckless arson and 4 felony counts of involuntary manslaughter. PG&E admits its power line started the fire that destroyed dozens of homes and killed 4 people in Shasta County back in 2020, but the company denies committing criminal negligence. A bill just proposed in the state assembly would give families that make less than $30,000 annually a more than $1,000 tax credit. And if approved, anyone with kids under the age of 18, children 19 to 23 who are students, or a child of any age with permanent and total disabilities, they would qualify. This would cost the state roughly $700 million a year. And something else that's changing, California's COVID-19 emergency is actually ending tomorrow. What to expect after the break. The state's COVID-19 state of emergency expires tomorrow. Of course, to break everything down, I want to go ahead and bring in Becca Habegger, because this has been almost 3 years. Kind of hard to believe, right?
Right. Yeah. And, you know, Alex, Governor Newsom declared a COVID state of emergency on March 4th of 2020. As we know, it gave him broader powers to issue mandates meant to slow the spread of the virus, and also allowed the state to bypass certain laws to more quickly respond to the public health crisis. Now, will most people notice any difference when the emergency is lifted tomorrow? Well, probably not. Over the last 3 years, Newsom has issued nearly 600 pandemic-related orders, and Alex, fewer than 30 of them are still in effect right now. They included, over these last 3 years, giving people more time to file their taxes or renew a driver license. But they also, of course, included a statewide stay-at-home order in 2020 that caused millions of people to lose their jobs.
And also, Becca, I want to ask you, the changes on the state and federal level, they will impact some people who are experiencing food insecurity.
Yeah, you know, so this is something that people will feel. The federal government has been providing extra money during the pandemic to people on SNAP, or the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Now, here in California, those dollars come through CalFresh. So March will be the final month of those extra dollars. Households will start getting less money for groceries starting in April, according to the CalFresh website. Now, that has food banks preparing for an influx of people. And Alex, as we know, the need is already very high.
We are seeing some of the highest numbers that we've ever seen in terms of food insecurity in Sacramento County. Pre-pandemic, we were feeding about 150,000 people each month. Now we're averaging closer to 270,000. So that's about an 80% increase over the past 3 years.
That need there and still growing. So coming up tomorrow, we'll have more details on how this will affect people and also how you can help. Becca, thank you. All right, when women in our communities are struggling to get the care they deserve, where should they go? Who can advocate for them? After the break, why some are sharing their stories and medical traumas. All right, let's face it. Many women go into a doctor's office feeling intimidated, alone, and lost. Women's health care is just not talked about enough, and that has some serious consequences. Take fibroids, for example. Millions of women have these generally non-cancerous growths on their uterus, but for some, that turns into heavy menstrual bleeding or even a total hysterectomy. Tonight, we introduce you to 3 women right here in our community who say that their stories need to be heard.
I never heard of the term fibroids until I got pregnant. They just said, hey, you know, you have some small fibroids and here's some information on it, and they sent me on my way. But when I Googled it, of course, that's the bad thing to do, was Google anything. They gave me all of this horrendous information, miscarriage and all of that. So instantly I became scared. As we began on this journey and I gave birth, my son was 4 pounds, 15 ounces. So let's fast forward. I end up having another baby. He is 4 pounds, 13 ounces. Again, they have a problem with his low birth weight. Come to find out, low birth weight is a part of having fibroids. And then I started to feel like big bulges in my stomach. So they did an ultrasound and the fibroids had grew. They used to be micro-sized. Now they're 9 centimeters, 7 centimeters, which is the size of a grapefruit. Instead of me having 4 originally, now I have 7. Now I have to look into getting a hysterectomy because that was also, my thought was the only option because they didn't tell me about other options besides getting a hysterectomy.
The things they don't tell you about surgery.
So I ended up getting a hysterectomy and I wish I had known about a myomectomy. Part of me think I didn't get that information because I don't want to say they didn't care, but I do want to say that this world is a go-go world. There's not as much conversation.
For me, it was about being discriminated against because of my weight. I had heavy periods, heavy bleeding throughout my life, and my doctors kept saying, lose weight, lose weight, lose weight. I had trouble conceiving, and my doctors wouldn't go any further in testing. They just kept saying, lose weight, lose weight. It was very frustrating because I would be experiencing symptoms, but they weren't taken seriously because of the weight. And then finally what happened was I was what I feel wrongly sterilized. I had an ovarian cyst. Well, I was going to get it medically removed. And my doctor told me before I went into surgery that if we find any instances of cancer, we're going to give you a hysterectomy. So go to surgery, come out, and my doctor tells me we had to do a hysterectomy. So of course I'm freaked out. There was no cancer. What happened was my doctor told me I had adhesions from my C-section. So that's why they did the hysterectomy. It was very hard because I was still fairly newly married, and my husband at the time and I were, wanting to have a child. And so it was very hard to accept. Plus I was just confused. If I didn't have cancer, then why did I have a hysterectomy? That was just the only thing that went through my mind. The doctor never came back and said anything, so there was never a conversation, no sense of care for me as the patient. It was just like we did what we had to do and deal with it. And at that time, I didn't even know how to process it. I didn't know what to do. So I was dealing with the complications of trying to heal from the hysterectomy. There wasn't much conversation. I didn't know how to advocate for myself. I just kind of tucked it in and just tried to heal the best I could. I don't think that our stories and our symptoms are taken seriously. And I think there's this misconception that we tolerate more pain or our symptoms aren't as severe, that we could be over-exaggerating. And so I definitely feel like those myths that have been in the medical community for so long are things that drive us from getting adequate care. I think it says something internally about our worth and that we're not worthy of the same care that other people get and deserve, when in actuality we are.
I'm a fibroid survivor, and for maybe 15-ish years, I had really, really heavy periods, and it was super normalized in my family. Like, it wasn't even a big deal. I would have periods for 8 or 9 days, heavy bleeding, diarrhea, cystic acne, bloating, back pains. I just remember going to this in high school, wearing double pads. You're just trying to exist, but it does give you a lot of anxiety over time because you're like, you get up from a chair, you're like, did I do something? If you laugh or cough or sneeze, is it good? 2012, I was like, you know what? I want a hysterectomy. I don't want to have children in this way, not attached. And when I went to the doctor, they didn't give me any tests. They tried to prescribe me birth control right away. And then when I said I want a hysterectomy, they were like, well, your future husband is going to be very mad that you're sterile, and that could really cause divorce. And this is a female doctor. So she was like, I'm going to have to deny you. That let me know 2 things can be true: that the system is not set up for patients to really advocate for themselves, because when they do, all these regulations come into play, and that people are just out here slinging birth control left and right and not really looking at what the problem is. And as I started to take the birth control, the bleeding started and never stopped. I was bleeding for months, consistently, not on and off. We're talking 1 month, still bleeding, 2 months, still bleeding. My mom actually came to visit me, and I'm bleeding literally in the produce section, I'm wearing jeans, bleeding through my jeans in Walmart. And I start crying. My mom starts breaking down and crying. So we end up calling our family friend, who happened to be a nurse at the time. And the first thing she said is, girl, you have fibroids. And I was like, what? She was like, you have fibroids. And this is what you need to do to cleanse your body. And I was like, okay. And she was like, you need to go vegan. You need to do a very serious vegan cleanse. They didn't offer me hysterectomy, myomectomy, a uterine ablation, nothing. Nothing. Just birth control. This idea that Black women or Black womb holders' pain is just not as severe. So if they come in with challenges or traumas, it's like not that big of a deal. And so that training and that rhetoric totally controls the way people are seen in the hospital. Especially as myself, I'm the daughter of immigrant parents. So I've seen how people will treat people with different accents or people that don't speak English as their first language. So just seeing that type of treatment, I felt very alone and very intimidated. But when she told me about the cleanse, and then in 2 weeks, my period stopped completely. And then over the 3 months, I lost 25 pounds, my acne cleared up, I wasn't bloated anymore. And it took me a while to become comfortable in even talking about this because I was very ashamed, very embarrassed, and hated my body. I hated it because I thought it wasn't working.
I do want to say thank you to the women that sat down and talked to me. You were brave, and I appreciate you trusting us here at ABC 10 to tell your story. And tomorrow we will talk about what came next for these women and how they created a community. Melissa, who you just met, is the creator of a local documentary called The Big Histo. She put out a casting call to highlight what she calls a silent pandemic. And again, let this be a reminder to always check in with your doctor if you have any questions or concerns, and know that it is okay to get a second opinion. CHP officers helped bring these two horses back home in Sonora just before the blizzard hit. They found Cayenne and Buttercup wandering around on Big Hill Road. The officers got them home safely about a mile away. CHP says that Cayenne slowed down to remind Officer Lopez and everyone to drive slowly in these icy road conditions.
Wow.
I know. I don't know if I'd be walking that road.
Oh, it's just amazing. Everything that our law enforcement does in conditions like this when we have blizzard warnings. You're talking about wildlife, you're talking about pets and homes and people and cars, Sierra travel. Check it out. This is what things are going to be looking like here for the next 24 to almost 48 hours. Still near whiteout conditions, major travel delays, road closures possible, chain controls. Bottom line here, travel highly discouraged, even for the horses. Don't get out of the stables. I'll look at some of those snowfall amounts. Somerset, 2.5 inches, Applegate, 5 inches, Blairsden, 9. Sierra City at 14, and Donner Lake, 13 inches of snow, blowing, drifting snow. Mindy submitting that report saying it's just really difficult travel up through the high country. As far as our rainfall totals, anywhere from about 0.3 of an inch to close to 1/2 inch of rain. That just since midnight. But again, that low is still pulling its way on the coast. It's going to produce some difficult travel from time to time, not only for the Sierra, but for the valley. We're looking at more moisture coming in off the coast. Additional rainfall headed our way for tomorrow. Today's highs only in the 40s to near 50. This is a cold blast of air for us. 30s to near 40 for the foothills and only 20s up top for the Sierra. Temperature trend, this pretty much says it all. Where should we be? In the mid 60s this time of year. We've barely been hitting 50 degrees. We're running roughly about 20 degrees below average. In the Big Mountain backyard, we've got generally dry conditions in the valley. We're in the 40s right now, 19 for Tahoe with additional snowfall coming in. Gusty winds for tomorrow, especially during the afternoon. Those will start to ramp up as we head into the overnight hours in through the morning commute and even into our midday hour before they finally start to back off as that weather system starts to pull off to the east. But before we get to that, we're still going to pick up another 1/2 inch to almost inch of rain in the valley, and for the Sierra, anywhere from about 5 to 40 plus inches of snow by the time we get to Wednesday morning, again, when that blizzard warning expires. Here's the timeline. Rain for the morning commute, and it returns again for the evening commute. Snow piling up for the Sierra right through tomorrow evening into early Wednesday. So we finally get a break after that. Coming into the forecast, our temperatures for tomorrow in the 20s for the Sierra, 30s and 40s down low, 50s across the coast and for the valley. And our 10-day forecast, well, we are going to find some active weather out there for the next 10 days, especially as we head into the following weekend. But it looks like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are dry, Alex.
All right, Monica, thank you. As always, we appreciate you joining us here on To The Point. We'll have more updates on all the weather you need to know coming up tonight at 11. Stay safe. Give yourself some time on the roads. It's going to be raining, like Monica said. Have a great night. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.